What is this?
It's the name of a Beethoven opera, isn't it?
Nick. It's the password.
Passwords are powerful, right? A movie that I love is Eyes Wide Shut. It's one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen. True horror fans would probably say it's not a real horror film. But I'm not a true horror fan, so I can say whatever I want. It's terrifying. I love it. It's a true life terror. There's some fantasy in there, but it's a mental fantasy, a dream fantasy. In fact, the novella it's based on is called Traum Nouvelle, or Dream Story. In Eyes Wide Shut, a wealthy doctor stumbles into the secret rituals of a sex cult run by a cabal of truly wealthy, truly powerful individuals. The wealthy man, Bill Harford, has money, but the cabal has power. Bill and his wife Alice attend the Christmas party of one of his patients. Look at this guy's house. This guy's got power. They schmooze. They flirt. Alice hangs out with a guy who definitely invests in paintings and private military corporations. Bill runs into his old medical school pal, Nick Nightingale, who leads the party's band. Nick is a medical school dropout. He is below Bill. Bill has power over Nick. Through a series of strange incidents and after an absolutely filthy verbal emasculation from Alice, Bill finds himself wandering the streets of New York City. He ping-pongs through Greenwich Village toward a jazz club where his friend Nick is performing. Maybe Bill wants to see the show, or maybe Bill wants to wheedle a sob story out of Nick about his wayward life choices. Maybe Bill wants to feel power over Nick, over anything. After the show, the two grab drinks, catch up. It's a rote, how was the wife, how are the kids conversation, but things move on to work, and Nick, maybe feeling some inadequacy as a traveling musician to Bill's high-status doctoring, lets slip a little secret. He's playing for another client that night at a far stranger gig, but he's coy about the details.
Hey man, I just played the piano.
Bill's intrigued. He coerces some details from Nick, but Nick can't reveal much.
Believe it or not, I don't actually know the address yet.
Suddenly, Nick has power. He gloats.
Bill, I have seen one or two things in my life, but never anything like this.
Nick's phone rings. The shift in Nick's tone from friendly, playful dialogue to rigid obedience will show you precisely who these people are.
Hello? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, this is Nick.
He writes something down on a napkin. Bill can't help himself. He's not accustomed to being left out. He's one of the world's big, important people. He reads, Fidelio.
What is this?
It's the name of a Beethoven opera, isn't it?
Bill cashes in his friend currency.
Nick. It's the password.
Bill convinces Nick to let him follow him to the party. Nick reluctantly caves. But an energy in the conversation hints that there will be danger. This is dark territory. Good luck, Bill. We'll see you on the dance floor. Oh, and bring a masking cape. What unfolds for Bill is a sequence of humbling horrors that reveal just how small of a man he really is. A black dream that reveals what little power he thinks he possesses is merely condescendingly conferred to him. Everything he has is in the possession of the people at this party. His job, his status, his power, and even his life are theirs to give, theirs to take. He survives the ordeal, but is he a better person because of it? Beyond the harrowing cult activity and its sex magic rituals and horrors of human trafficking, there is a simple message to the film. Some things are better left unexplored. Some apples of knowledge should remain on the branch, unbitten. Sometimes entering the password is a bad idea. Which inevitably leads me to Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like many children in the 90s, I had an NES. I'd play whatever games my parents bought for me. Sometimes I asked for them. Sometimes they were gifts based on judgments of my taste and age. One game I remember playing quite a few times was Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. a side-scrolling puzzle game where you play as a rabbit who, inexplicably, cannot jump. In Japan, the game was originally released as a Roger Rabbit game. Alright, it's still a rabbit, why is he not jumping? But it was also released as a Mickey Mouse game for the Game Boy. I don't think mice can jump, but we're getting closer to something that makes sense. I'm kidding, I know video games don't have to adhere to the rules of our reality. I know some people get upset when you talk lightly about that kind of thing. I'll just chalk it up to the developers making the game that they want and the marketers taking liberties with licensing. But seriously, he's a rabbit, those dudes jump all the time. It's like the entire reason they're fast. Although Bugs always was more of a sprinter. What is sprinting if not very fast forward-focused jumping? Anyway, for 8-year-old me, jumping wasn't the problem. The game was just difficult. I'd plug away at it, but I never got far. I'll shoot straight with you, I'm not very good at games. I love games, but I'm not a master of them. Sometimes I can get good. Oftentimes, if a game isn't clicking, I'm on to the next one. But that wasn't an option for Child Paul. I had limited gaming choices, so I plugged, I shuffled, I pushed, and I never jumped. At some point, I was gifted a copy of Top Secret Passwords Nintendo Player's Guide. Gifts can be an insight into how people perceive you, how your perception of yourself and that of the gift giver are in sync or out of sync, and sometimes they are a sobering splash of reality that reveal a truth you deeply knew about yourself but never reckoned with. This was one of those. Someone thought, this loser kid needs help. And I said yes, please, give it to me. In the guide, I found passwords for many of the games in my collection, including Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. I had access to tremendous power now. I could finally experience the parts of this game that had been closed off to me because of my lack of skill. So I plugged in the password, warped right to the end of the game. And it sucked. The game was still hard. I could see these levels, but I couldn't navigate them any better than I could the earlier levels. The enemies would swamp me and dominate me with even swifter skill than in the beginning of the game. I was a stranger in a dangerous, anti-rabbit land. I revealed myself by merely existing within this space. I was in a place I didn't belong. I didn't have the power to be here. I thought I could pretend, but in the presence of true power, my inadequacy was revealed. Like Bill Harford, I stood out. Passwords are powerful, right? The holders of passwords have some power over those who don't. They bar or admit access. When you learn a password, you gain access. You partake in power. Sometimes these passwords bestow boons, lead to treasures, or take you closer to areas that are protected by further passwords and safety measures. But many times, obtaining and using a password has drawbacks. And sometimes we wish we hadn't learned the password or discovered what it hid. Sometimes, like the accurately chosen gift, we gain a new, shocking perspective on ourselves. All weapons. God mode. Passwords are fun. Using these codes can feel like dumping out your toy box and playing with every figure at the same time. But the luster wanes swiftly. Pleasantly chewy game action dissolves to button mush and finally disintegrates into mouth sand as you tastelessly murder enemies who have no ability to hurt you. The challenge and intent of the game is neutered by your ill-gotten power. Passwords were typically tools for developers to quickly access portions of games for testing and balancing purposes, and often left in place in the end product as a toy for users to play with. They were already there, so why not keep them in? But they never represent the actual experience intended by the developers. They are a facsimile of the experience. Passwords are powerful, but they do not confer power. In video games, power is intended to be gained through practice and dedication. At least there's some fairness in that. In our reality, the one that Eyes Wide Shut is based on, power is hoarded, hidden behind those gates that Bill stands in front of while reading a letter that tells him exactly how screwed he is. For Bill, for you, for me, for most of us, there's no earning what lies behind those gates.
Hey, Paul. All right. This one's called Video Games Are Never Completed, Only Abandoned. Spoilers for Animal Well. I didn't finish my favorite game of 2024, and I want to be okay with that. Many, many people will tell you what a charming, genre-pushing, and fundamentally playful experience Animal Well by Billy Basso is. It's clever, it's deep, it's weird, it's for sure my game of the year, and I technically did beat it, but I didn't finish it. Animal Well's gameplay is structured into tiers. There's the base game at Tier 1, which wants you to collect the major items and beat all the bosses. Then there's the Collectathon post-game at Tier 2 for folks who want to hang out in the well a little more. And finally, Tier 3, the part where you have to leave the game and interact with the community to solve ARG-ish puzzles. Alternate reality games are not to my tastes. While adopting a particular persona, I think I've even gone so far to say that they're, quote, for cowards, unquote. Ideally, I would like my games to be self-contained as their own singular experience. I think games are mixed media enough. So my heart kind of sunk when I felt Tier 2 of Animal Well coast to a halt, as puzzles that required me to leave the game to solve began to push themselves into prominence. Damn, I thought, quitting to desktop. I wanted this to be my game of the year. I can't be the only one with standards like this, right? I can't be the only one who holds their own personal game of the year up as something sacred. I've gone so far as to boldly assign no game of the year to those particularly dreadful eons on which no games were completed 100%. When I die and go to Catholic heaven against my will because of decisions my parents made because of decisions their parents made, and real actual St. Peter weighs my soul against a feather or whatever, I don't want him to fumble with his little Christ brand scrutinizing glasses and say, really? Jak 2 was your game of the year for 2004, even though you only played like 14% of it at a friend's house? Katamari Damacy and Half-Life 2 came out in 2004, and Jak 2 came out in 2003. Did you even take your life seriously? I wouldn't do that to Pete. I wouldn't do that to video games. I only make correct Game of the Year choices. A Game of the Year is a game that was released this year. One that I played entirely, and one that is morally and aesthetically correct. A Game of the Year selection reveals to everyone how perfect and unassailable my taste is. If I'm to smugly shoehorn oh yeah, that was my Game of the Year, into casual dialogue in January to get that coveted, okay, from a conversation partner, I have to have some fucking standards. It took a few other games for me to understand my feelings for Animal Well. Roughly 50. Now, if the games of 2024 are still fresh in your mind by the time you experience this essay, you will have probably seen what I have done there. UFO 50 is a collection of 50 games made by a rogues gallery of cool game developers, including Derek Yu of Spelunky fame, Sir Moppin of Downwell, and Catacomb Kids developer Tyreek Plummer, to name a few. The existence of UFO 50 is so cool and mind-blowing in itself that it doesn't deserve me absolutely steamrolling over it to get to my point like I'm about to do, but here I go anyway. An individual UFO 50 game kind of wants you to bounce off of it. You're meant to play so far as you have interest and bandwidth for the fantasy and the mechanics of the title. It's kind of a peek into how we'd play games in a post-capitalist, post-work world where art is free and you don't have to sacrifice your weekends to a $70 mistake just because a stunningly composed trailer tricked you. There's no sunk cost. Just play the games you want because you want to play games. That's probably how we should play games anyway in a pre-post-capitalist working world. Play a game so far as it gives you enjoyment, and that's it. If it sucks, hit the bricks, as it were. In the last couple years, the AAA space has been trying to reconcile the premium price tag, the labor, the fidelity, the cost, the massive size of mainstream video games with the data that suggests that most people do not roll credits on the majority of games they buy. This has pushed AAA developers into designing around and for game completion as a concern. Checklists, map markers, exploits give the players whatever they need to finish the game even if they don't want to be there. Especially if they don't want to be there. Instead of giving them a reason to stay, never give the player a reason to leave. Animal Well let me leave when I was done, and Billy Basso got to make the game that, I hope, fit his tastes. We parted amicably, and it takes actual courage to design a game like that. The fact that I felt no need to complete Animal Well after beating it makes it art to me. Animal Well was complete without my involvement. But in another more real sense, web fishing is my game of the year. Because the hats are funny. Stick that in your pipe, St. Peter.
Hey, thanks for listening to our essays. We've got another video. It's a little different. It's a series of letters back and forth about Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery. It's linked right here. And if this is the future, there's probably other videos. But right now, when I'm recording this, it is not the future. It is now. And there are 2 videos, including the one you just watched. Presumably, because you're at the end. Maybe you just jumped here. That's even crazier, because then there's 2 videos, and you haven't watched either. Trying to record something that covers all contingencies is nuts. So I'll just say subscribe to this channel to get more videos like this.